Now, sunset in Damascus tonight could usher in a new chapter in the Syrian conflict and a possible step towards peace. That's when the ceasefire brokered in marathon talks between Russia and the US comes into effect. The Syrian government's agreed to halt airstrikes in certain opposition-held areas. However, there is scepticism from some opposition groups who are still considering the truce. Well, if the ceasefire does hold for at least a week, the United States and Russia will then work together to target terror groups linked to ISIL and also al-Nusra. Our correspondent, Lizzie Phelan, is in the long-besieged city of Aleppo at the moment, where many of the locals there, though, do seem unconvinced that the peace will hold.
The countdown for the cessation of hostilities to begin is almost up. Many people in Aleppo, after so many failed efforts, are very skeptical about whether it's actually going to work. 23-year-old Ella lives here on one of the old city's front lines. We've come to talk to her about what an end to the violence will mean for her. Ella, do you believe that this cessation of hostilities is genuinely going to work this time?
Every time we hear about a truce, the fighting just continues. We hope to have at least one peaceful night, but it is not happening. Of course, the ceasefire would be useful. At least we will be able to have a few days without bloodshed. Every morning we wake up to gunfire and the sound of shelling. It is terrifying. I have two brothers who are martyrs. One was 27 and the other 16. My sister's husband became a martyr. He was killed during Ramadan. Life is hard here, but we are staying for the sake of our homeland and the president and the martyrs. What else can we do? My hope is to live in a peaceful country where the next generation can study and have everything they need and not live as we are living.
Lizzie Phelan reporting there. Well, Middle East analyst Ali Risk told us that there are still major doubts over whether some of the hardline rebel groups will abide by the truce.
These groups, some of them don't respond to anyone. If you look at ISIS, if you look at al-Nusra, you know, these groups don't respond to anyone. And I even would like to elaborate more. The Saudi-sponsored groups as well. There's a question here which is posed. You know, Saudi Arabia doesn't have an interest in ending the fighting. So what about those rebel groups, or the, I like to call them more terrorist groups, who are supported by Saudi Arabia? You know, what will they do whilst the Saudis, you know, have no interest in reaching a ceasefire?
Well, the first day of the ceasefire does coincide with one of the holiest holidays for Muslims across the world. In Moscow, the city's Muslims gathered in their hundreds at mosques for the holiday known as Eid al-Adha, which means Festival of Sacrifice. The annual holiday lasts for 4 days and sees Muslims conduct special prayers. During this period, some sacrifice animals to honour the Prophet Abraham, who is said to have shown willing to kill his son in order to demonstrate submission to God.